10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year,
Happy
Jill.
New Year, Tony.
Happy New Year, listeners.
And Happy New Year, listeners. You are listening to I'm Right.
I'm Right.
And I'm Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova.
And this is season 3. Episode 1.
Yes,
and we're really excited about it.
We are excited. Jill, 2 years completed.
Yes.
We're in our third year.
Third year. Thanks to you listeners for supporting us all this time.
Thank you so
Some of you
much.
have been with us from the very beginning, and we appreciate you. So we have let's start with some shout outs.
Yes.
Shout out to Dennis and Mary.
Yes, Dennis and Mary. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Shout out to Superhero.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Shout out to Shannon and Sean.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Shout out to Diane.
Diane, yes.
Happy New Year.
And Coyote.
Yes. Happy New Year. We need to see you, Coyote. We haven't seen you in a while. And Happy New Year to Kim.
Kim.
Yeah,
Conry.
Kim.
Okay.
Kim Conry.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Woo! And then to the rest of our listeners. So we still have listeners all over the U.S.
Yes.
Thank you. We have listeners in France. Thank you.
Yes.
Or should I say merci.
Merci.
Okay. We have listeners in Canada. And we have listeners in Tunisia.
Yes, Happy New Year
Happy New Year to everyone. And we hope you're off to a great start.
Yes.
So speaking of starts, this episode is all about expectations of 2021.
All right.
It's part of a segment that we call Stand by Your Stance. So I think we all can agree that our expectations for 2021, whatever way you started 2020, I'm certain you are hopeful that 2021 will be a better year.
Yeah, 2020. This, you know what? This year, everybody says the same thing. I am glad this year is over.
Yes, and I have said that in the past, but I've never
2020
at
all.
No, there were many things
really
to dislike about 2020. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of those things we dislike about 2020 are going to carry over until January 20th?
Yes, that is true. But just like when Obama was elected president,
yes,
there's no magic button that's going to make everything perfect at noon on January 20th. It's not. It doesn't happen that way.
It's not.
No,
it doesn't have.
No, so many people. I couldn't understand why so many people thought that just because Obama was elected president, that racism had ended. How silly. So we have many issues now in this country, in the U.S. We have many, many issues, and they're not going to all magically disappear or vanish as of noon on January 20th.
No, they're not. But that is something, we've done what we can do. So now,
no, we haven't done all that we can do.
Well, as far
we
as
need
voting,
to continue.
As far as voting goes, we've all voted and cast our vote, and so.
And those of us in Georgia got to vote in a runoff. Well, at least I hope you Georgians voted in the runoff.
Yeah, but let's get away from politics
and on to relationships.
Yes,
and how expectations. Can either enhance or hinder your relationship.
Yes. Well, myself, Jill, I'm concerned. And that we, going into 2021 and throughout 2021, that we remain on the same page as far as what our expectations are for this year.
We are the I'm Right I'm right, people.
But
so
are
I'm
we
not
going
sure
to?
We're always on the same page.
Are we going to agree on everything we do this year and how we go about it?
No. When have we ever done that?
I think it's about time you come over to my side.
No, you should come over to the light.
Come to the
light.
Come to the dark side.
Come to the light.
Come to the dark side.
No. But I will say this. I don't know. I'm pretty sure we've told listeners that at the beginning of 2020, we wrote a list of things that we wanted to happen that year. Remember?
I don't think we told them that.
Oh, well, I just did. So, listeners, if you didn't catch that, at the beginning of 2020, Tony and I typed up a list of our goals as a couple and then our individual goals. Because
for 2020.
Yes, for 2020. And then we sealed them up in an envelope and didn't look at it again until New Year's Eve. And what we found was that many of the things on that list, many of them we couldn't do because of COVID.
Because of COVID, yeah.
But a lot of them I realized when we were reading them and seeing what we had achieved and what we hadn't. A lot of them were things that we couldn't quite control either.
Like COVID, but
we didn't have COVID as a goal. I'm just saying
but we didn't achieve them because of COVID.
But also some of the goals were things that we had to rely on other people to help make that happen.
Yes.
Whereas this year we did the same thing on New Year's Eve this year or New Year's Day for this year, but the list was much shorter because we only put things on there that we actually can control.
Correct. Yeah, because we did find from our 2020 list the things that we can control.
We did.
We about did all of those things.
Them, yes.
But the other things, I don't think one of those other things came to fruition.
No, they didn't. If it involved anybody else that we needed to make it happen, it did not happen.
Didn't happen.
Yes. So I'm saying all of that, listeners, for two reasons. Number one, Tony and I discussed our goals. We had goals as a couple, but we were also individuals. We're still ourselves, and but we still discuss those individual goals with each other. So I encourage listeners to do that with your partners, as well,
and
because you can hold each other.
Yeah, well,
because you can hold.
If you don't have a partner, still do it. It's not something you can only do with a partner.
Yes.
You can do it to help keep yourself accountable.
Well, that's what I was going to say. As long as you tell somebody what your goals are, they can check in with you and see how you're doing on them. So I did that with a friend, actually, with my writing goals. Every Sunday, she and I are going to text each other, and we told each other what our goals are, and we're going to text each other and see how we're doing every single Sunday.
Well, that's cool.
So it does hold you accountable.
Yeah.
But I encourage, this is the other reason I brought it up, make your goals things you can control.
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
It does. It does. It does.
An
enormous difference. So, for example, you and I, for this podcast, we only put down two goals for 2021. Number one was that we would release an episode every single week. Because listeners, as much as we love doing this, it's hard to fit it in sometimes.
Yeah.
To record it and release it and do all the things that we have to do to get it to you. So a couple of times in 2020, there were times that we had discussions like, do we want to keep doing this?
Yeah.
And the answer obviously is yes. So we put down for a goal, we would release an episode every week. And we also put down a goal that at least once this year, I know we keep talking about it, but at least once this year, we want to have a podcast related event with listeners.
Yeah, we hope so.
So whether it's virtual or in person.
It could be virtual. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anything you want to say?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
You are doing.
Not that I mind. I like to talk.
I want to say Happy New Year.
Okay, I'll do it. Oh, I didn't make any sound. I can't make any sound anymore. Okay. There we go.
Okay. Yeah. As the listeners know, because they hear this from me so often, how I really dislike my job.
You do?
Yes. Well, however,
I'd love to take a poll of our listeners to see how many of them like their jobs.
We need to make that like a trivia question at our online
trivia
thing.
Or a poll.
No. It's so when we have a meetup online or something, we'll create a game of trivia of things that we say in the podcast or things we mention, or
that'll be fun. So because you do say that often.
So one of the questions could be, hey, does Tony like his job? Everybody will get that one.
Well, I was going to say most listeners, most people do not like their jobs, so that would be an easy guess.
Yeah, I think I'd take it to a new level.
Well, I'm going to say what you would say. What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? I'm working on it. I work on it every day. Anyway,
I work on it too.
But what I was going to say before you stretch this out, was that getting close to the end of 2020, I decided to change my mindset. I still don't like my job, but I look at the positive things that the job has created, like money. It's good to have money. It's good to pay your bills.
Yes.
So I stopped focusing on how much I dislike my job and looked at the positive things about it. So I still dislike my job, but I just try to look at the positive things the job has created.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, I'm not happy about teaching in person before COVID is before getting a vaccine or anything like that. Right.
Right.
But it's something I have to do if I want to work there. Mm-hmm. Right. So I have decided I too changed my mindset, because before I was just like, stupid job, I don't want to do that. and I was very upset about it. But now my mindset is, I remember the whole reason I got into teaching was to help people. So I always say, if I can reach one student, because, some people, they don't have the mindset that they're ready to learn that semester, right? Mm-hmm. But if I could just reach one student per semester, then that's one more person who has more knowledge that, because I helped them. So I'm back to my why. Why did I get into that? So as long as I remember that, then I can do it cheerfully.
Cheerfully?
Cheerfully.
Really?
Yes.
Cheerfully.
I actually do like to teach.
I know you're a very good teacher. Yeah,
yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's cool. I am curious of, I always like to hear what someone else's viewpoint is on something like this. Like going forward, I really am curious whether our listeners are going to do anything different this year. And I'm not asking, about New Year's resolutions.
Right.
I'm just asking, is there something different? Like last year we was like, hey, it's 2020, the year doing something different. But and
then people had to.
that they sure did. They got forced to do many things differently in 2020. But I'm still curious of whether people are going to do something different. Some people are always looking for something else to do. That's just in their nature, like us. We're always looking for the next step. What are we going to do next?
Yes, I'm very goal oriented.
Yes, but then there are other people that are like, well, I'm good. I'm good just the way I am. And I wonder is there a problem with that, or if it's good for them, just, for whatever they're doing, whether they just go to their job every day and come home, maybe they like their job, So that is where they get some of their fulfillment in life through their job or maybe their family. So I'm still curious about people that is what makes them happy,
Yes.
And
well, I would like to hear from listeners on that for sure, but this is my viewpoint on that. I believe that we should strive to be content with what we have. I do believe in that. Living in the present moment, being content with what you have. However, I also believe that every day we should strive to be the best version of ourselves. So but every day it's a new experience, a new encounter, something. We come across something different every day because every day is different in some ways. So in that sense, I think that you can't stay stagnant as who you can't stay stagnant in that regard, because if you're striving to always be your best self, then there's always more to do.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know if I would use the word content. I would look at it more of, I would, count my blessings that I'm glad I have what I have. I'm glad I have a roof over my head. I'm glad I have a job. I'm glad, of several things. But I am not discontent, but I don't want to be content in what I have.
Well, but some people might say to you, you're never happy.
No,
but there's a difference.
There is a difference. I am happy, but I'm always want to strive to do better, to be better, to learn something else.
But that's what I said. Be your best self.
Well, I said the only problem, the only problem I had with you was what you said was the word content. Content.
No, I'm saying with what you have. I didn't say being content with you yourself.
But even being content with what I have, I don't want to look at it that way. I don't want to look at. I want to be content with what I have, because as a person does better in life, they can have let's call it a better lifestyle. Like, for instance, when we first started this podcast, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, we used to take many mini vacations.
Yes, I remember.
Yes, and I
miss that.
I miss that a lot. So, but if I was content with the life I have now, which the life is, we don't get to take these mini vacations, well,
I think you and I have different definitions of content. So, for example, we can't. For example, right now we can't go on a lot of vacations because of COVID, right?
No, for the most part, we can't, is because of financial reasons and work reasons.
But I mean, even if we had all the money in the world, you can't.
We could go camping away from people. We could do that. I mean, I'm out in the world every day. I would be exposed to less people if we went camping.
Okay. So, but what I'm saying, what I was about to say.
What were you about to say before I rudely interrupted?
Yes, you did. Was that if you could, so during the time where no one could go anywhere, let's say, then, I'll back up. In our you and I, when we went on these vacations, if we fell in love with the place, then we would think about, let's get a house here, right? Yeah. Another house, right? But then you got the idea of, we can't afford that right now, so let's make the best of what we have. So we changed, we finished two rooms of making it fit our personality and making it a place that we can relax and not necessarily feel like we're on vacation, but it was soothing and relaxing, just like a vacation, right? Yes. So we made the best of what we had.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying by content.
Well, that's what you should have said.
I just did. I just did.
You should have said it the first time.
I just said it. You should have understood. We should be eye to eye. You should have understood what I was saying.
No, well, actually, I did understand what you're saying, but I actually did want you to clarify what you meant by content for the listeners.
Okay. Well, now everybody understands what I'm saying.
We're all on.
So now, are you in agreement?
As long as you don't use the word content,
I will still use the word content. I actually like that word. I will still use that word.
Yeah, well, but I would say, okay. My view of that word content is just to be happy with what you have.
Well, I think happy is not a thing.
It's not.
No, I think happy is is a mindset or a feeling, and so only you can know what that is.
I know. So if you're going to be happy with what you have, that you're happy with what you have,
but only because my mindset is
your mindset is going to decide that if you're happy or not.
Yes, but some people think happiness is a thing to strive for, that that there's this universal definition of happy.
Pick it up off the shelf. I think I'm going to get a can of happy today. You can get a bottle of happy. It's called vodka.
But you know how some people said, if I had this, if I had that, if I had this, I would be happy?
Yes. Things are not happiness.
Things are not happiness. Yes. It's a mindset.
Yeah, it comes from within.
Or a feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Great.
Cool. All right.
Great.
Well, all right then.
But, okay, so back to expectations for 2021. So I think if you're with someone, I'm back to that. If you're with someone, what if your expectations for 2021 are so far apart that you're like, who are you? What? Who are you? Or maybe they seem unrealistic. Like, a lot of people have told me I'm unrealistic, or I'm a dreamer, as you like to call me.
You are a dreamer.
But I feel if you're going to have dreams, don't dream little, dream big. Oh. Like, what's the point if you're going to dream little?
Okay.
Dream big.
Yeah, listeners, Jill has us winning Nobel Peace Prizes.
No, I have me winning. Not you, not us, me. Just me. Well, it's time for our second segment called
Give It a Rest and a Resolution.
So do you have a conclusion about expectations for 2021?
Well, we've kind of discussed that. But yes, I do have a conclusion that people in a relationship or not really should define what that means for them.
What means expectations
for this year and everything else, because it can be as something simple like, okay, I'm going to lose some weight today, or I'm going to this year, or exercise not today,
just
but
today,
this year, or I'm going to exercise this year. I'm not saying make it a resolution, but make it an expectation of something that you're going to do. So there's no pressure. It's like, oh, I made this New Year's resolution and I've got to do it. No, I have an expectation that I'm going to live better this year. I'm going to be healthier this year. Something like that. And that way there's no pressure. You don't have to go at it like, oh, I have to prove that I can do this to people or to myself. Just, hey, I'm taking it easy. I have an expectation of myself this year, and that's what I'm going to do.
That's good. So, well, my conclusion about expectations for 2021 is be realistic about your expectations in regard to, you can't control other people. You can only control your own actions and decisions.
That is
so
true.
Be realistic about that.
Yep.
Okay, let's get to our third segment that we call
I'm trying to help you.
We've sort of been given advice this whole episode, but do you have any more?
Do you have any more?
I do. My advice about expectations for 2021 is, if nothing else, that 2020 taught us was it opened our eyes. Yeah, 2020 vision,
Yeah.
It opened our eyes, I think, to not only who other people are, but hopefully you looked within too to see who you are. So I think if you've never done that before, it's time to do that. So don't just look at other people. Don't just judge other people and manage their expectations of you or themselves or your expectations of them. Look within first.
Okay, that's pretty good. And that gives me something to add to that.
Okay.
Which would be, I would really love it if this year everyone tried to have more compassion to human beings and also had empathy.
I'm convinced that some people are incapable of that. I am totally convinced of that.
Yeah. But, some people are like that. But I don't believe that's our listeners. So listeners, please try to have more compassion and empathy for your fellow man or woman. It'll make this world a better place.
Yes. So you're saying if they look within and they see it's empty in terms of compassion and empathy, fill her up. Is that what you're saying?
No, that wasn't exactly what I was saying, Jill.
That's what I heard.
That's
what I heard you say.
No, that's not
what you were saying?
No.
Sure it was.
But don't we have another segment to get to?
Yes, we're a little early. I'm the timekeeper.
Okay.
That is your expectation, or is for me to keep the time.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
All right. Well, let's get to our last segment that we call.
So, what do you think? What do you think?
Because I'm right.
Because I'm right.
So we do want to hear from you, listeners.
Yes, we really do. All the time we're talking about what we would do and how we would do something or what our expectations are. I would really love to hear from the listeners to what they would do and what their expectations are, because it might help us.
It might help us?
It might help us.
How will it help us?
Look, Jill, contrary to what you believe, I am not perfect. You see, contrary to what you believe, I know you believe I'm perfect, but
you're perfect for me, baby. You're perfect
I'm not
for me.
Perfect. So maybe the listeners have something where they could help me out with or us out with. That would be great.
Yes, because that's one thing I have discovered is that whatever you're going through, in terms of creating goals and maybe you don't reach it and all of that, you're never alone. There's always someone out there that's trying to do the same thing or has tried to do the same thing, but they found that this works or that works instead.
Yes.
So you're not alone.
Yeah, that's true. Quite often I will ask a person a question that I know the answer to, but sometimes they give me an answer I never thought of before.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which is good.
That is good. So how do we want our listeners to contact us?
Oh, that number it's a new year. Do we have a new number?
No, same number.
404-594-2247.
Right.
404-594-2247.
Or you could also leave us a comment on our blog page. So thank you for listening. You're listening to I'm Right.
I'm Right.
I'm Jill Cox Cordova.
I'm Anthony Cordova.
Shout out to Gifford Ivan Cordova III for the music, Nick Zinke for the art. And again, thank you, listeners.
Thank you, listeners.
We are off to a good start with season 3, episode 1.
Right. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.